Jeff Rowe from 2Hacks Garage. Well, it's an early Sunday morning back at Jimmy's place. We're working on Project Jumping Jack Flash, the J&J Speed and Machine Nostalgia Front Engine Dragster. If you saw in the previous video, we wrapped up a majority of the Hillborn setup on that. Got fuel lines ran. We got one section of a fuel log that we need to get heli-arced, and we started back on all the little things. I got a huge list of stuff in there that we need to accomplish. And yes, guys, they are a majority of all those little things that just add up and take time. So today we're going to start tackling that. Jimmy's been working on the fire suppression system, which is pretty neat. It's just one of those things, again, that does take time, especially if you want to do it right. It is a required safety item. And basically what it does, it has a nozzle, actually two nozzles, one that sprays the engine in case there's a fire and the other one that sprays the driver. You got your little pull handle here, and if something wasn't happening, you pull that and boom, there it goes. But yeah, other than that, you know, we got a whole bunch of wiring to do, just a lot of little odds and ends, and we're going to start tackling that. Like I said from the beginning of this, wanted to take everybody along the entire journey, and I know this is probably boring to watch, but at the same time, it shows you how much actually goes into building one of these. Like I said, it's just not building a chassis, chucking an engine and a transmission and a rear end and hitting the drag strip. There's so much more involved with it. So yeah, with that, you know what we're going to do? We are going to get into the little things. And what I'm going to do real quick, I'm going to show you part of that fire suppression system and what we're up against. See you in a few. All right, so the fire suppression system works pretty simple. Actually, you have your fire bottle here and you got your head. And if you see this cable here, that's the one we routed through the chassis and it goes back there, and I'll show you in a second. So when you got nozzles that come off of here, it's a bulkhead. And one of the lines, that one's getting run back to the driver. I'll show you that in a second. And this one here comes off and it's going to get routed to the engine. So what happens is you pull the cable in the back, which I'll show you in a second. That opens that up, that pops, releases this tank. And the nozzle right here, it's got like 6 holes in it. It sprays the fire suppression liquid on the engine. Hope to get that put out. But at the same time, there's going to be one that comes through here and it points up where the driver's at to spray him too, in case something was to happen. It's an added measure of protection that is required. But there is the pull handle right there. And you notice it's got that right there in it. What you do before a run, you pull that. That's in place and it's locked, so someone doesn't actually pull this or anything gets caught while you're doing it. But before runs, that gets yanked. In case something happens, you pull it. Hopefully everything works out all right. With that, guys, it's time to get back to work. All right. Well, we're going to call today. It's been a long Sunday, but it is sunny out now. Started off rainy. Yeah, you can see the fire bottle system. That's all in. So here's that nozzle I was telling you about. So this nozzle right here has little holes on the backside. See if we can see those. Yeah, right there. So what happens is when you pull that pin, if something was to happen, it's going to try to put out the fire there. This is a Stroud kit, by the way. They make pretty good fire suppression systems, and they've been around for a long time. The other line, it runs through the chassis, and it comes through here, and it snakes up here. Same thing. It's got nozzles here, and that sprays the driver. So that's where we're at right now. We got that done. Guys, there's a whole myriad of list of things to do. But what I started to do while Jimmy was doing that, I started a lot of wiring. The tack, I'm going to have to explain that to you guys at some point, but it's not in this video. That's going to come when we go to install the magneto. If you guys know, magnetos really don't have a tack output, but there's a kit from FIE Fuel Injection that takes care of that. I got the power side ram, but yeah, the tack and that little shift light, I'll explain all of that in another video. But what we got done now is I have the battery box in. There's actually a fuse block right there. So everything is fused on this. Back here, see if I can get a video of that real quick. Back here, there's a main on-off switch for things to the battery. But this is pretty cool too. So Jamie made this. This here is a shift button that controls the solenoid right here. And obviously this here is your transbrake, and that goes down to the solenoid right there. So that's all wired up. That's all wired up. And what else did I get wired up? Well, I got some other stuff wired up, like a hot side on the tack, hot side on the shift light. Quite a bit of work left to do on the wiring. We got to wire up the mag kill switches. There's actually 2 of them. Oh, I did get the starter button wired up too. It's all just hanging down there. We still got to install the starter. But I got quite a bit of wiring done. I know you're working with an open cockpit on this. But that being said, even with an open cockpit, you want to keep things away from heat. Yeah, trillion zip ties, but oh well, that's what they make them for. So yeah, lots of little things, guys. Lots of wiring done. The butterfly steering wheel switch panel mount, Jimmy made that. I really dig that. Really liking that. Wiring, lots of little things. Like I said, you know, there's a lot more that goes into one of these than I think people realize. But let's go take a look at our to-do list. So I'm sure we missed some stuff on here. But yeah, there's our list of things left to do. Ones that are on there are crossed off. But yeah, it's going good. So here's like a little diagram I made for the fuse panel. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's how I did all of that. Like I said, everything's fused on this, which is kind of neat. Kind of like that. Mind you, the battery on this is very tiny. It's actually a motorcycle battery. It goes in that box. You're not actually using that to start the car. That's just power sources for the shift solenoid, for the trans brake, for the tack, lighting and operation on that. We'll get into another video, but Jimmy and I are building a battery jump pack that'll come off the starter, and you actually start it externally, which is kind of neat, but we'll get into that in another video. Yeah, this is literally a video of back on the little things. Big accomplishments were made today. Getting that fire system done, getting a whole bunch of wiring done. Like I said, guys, there is so much that goes into one of these, but you just got to go at it and tackle it. With that, guys, I think I'm going to go home here pretty quick, make some cheeseburgers. It's sunny out. I'm tired. Jumping jack flash. It's gas, gas, gas.